Houston, we have a problem. As it stands right now, I don't advise anybody to purchase brand new Protech equipment. If what's being done to the customers over here is doing a lot of harm to a lot of really good fence companies, not just ours, but there's other fence companies that are counting on this equipment and have paid for equipment and they don't have it and they're not getting it and they're getting the runaround. You may have noticed we no longer sell Protech, and today I'm here to address that because I feel like it's been the elephant in the room for quite a while. So a few years ago, we got tied in with Protech equipment in England and went over there, toured the factory, really liked what they were doing, and decided to represent that brand and help customers that we know here on the western half of the US sell that. And you probably saw several videos that we did touting the benefits of Protech machinery. A lot of that has changed. In fact, we've been over to see Solo Track and we've been over to see Bryce equipment in Scotland. That was because we were looking for some other options. And the reason that we were looking for options is because Protech has been a complete disaster for our company. The long and the short of it is that in August of 2020, we ordered some machines, and as of today, it is now October 2023, and we still don't have those machines. And that's a big problem for us. We're out about a little over $200,000, $225,000 or something roughly, and have been out that money. And we have customers that are out that money that we've had to take care of because the customers trusted us to deliver machines, and when we couldn't deliver those machines, we provided an alternate for them free of charge. And that's been going on now for over a year. And so we're out our equipment that we could use in our company because we've loaned it out to other people, but then also we don't have the equipment that we were promised. And so it's kind of a double-edged sword. Like, we're caught in the middle here, and it's just gotten worse and worse and worse, and we don't know when this is going to end. Unfortunately, the legal battle that we're involved in regarding this equipment is not quick. It's not easy. It's very painful. Not a great process to be in. And I can't talk a lot about some of the particulars of it, but I think that we can all realize and recognize that when you pay for equipment and it's supposed to be here in 6 months and it is 3 years later and you still don't have them, that's a problem. To make matters worse, we're getting reports that this equipment is actually sitting with the vendor in the US and still is not being released to us. Now, mind you, 2 of those machines have been paid for in full since day one. I really can't understand why they haven't been delivered. Now, granted, the reports are that those machines landed in the US sometime late last year, so they've been sitting here for a year now and we still don't have the use of them, and they still haven't been delivered, and we still don't have our money back. It's not been great. Now, the equipment, well, I think there's some room for improvement on just about every piece of equipment. The equipment's still sound and it still has value, but the reality is that we've lost all faith in Protech because it doesn't seem like they can actually deliver the equipment that people are paying for. I don't know to what part the representative here in the US is playing a role in this and what part Protech's playing a role. All I know is that at points in time, we have definitely been deceived and lied to. In fact, at one point in time in December of 2021, we were told that the machine was ready and just waiting on containers. And we got a lot of excuses like that this whole time. So when we would call and try and get updates on where our machine was, we would get every excuse under the sun with no real answers, no real concrete answers. There would never be any production pictures or any kind of an update that was tangible. It was just like, well, there's parts delays. Well, what parts? Meanwhile, we got to watch other machines get prototyped and actually delivered into the US. Well, our machines couldn't get built. So they were able to prototype other machines and get things here, but we couldn't get our machines. And so it just seems like there was some really funny business going on there. And again, here we are in excess of 3 years later now and still don't have our money back, still don't have the machines. And to make matters worse, as reported, these machines are maybe sitting in the US and still aren't delivered even though they're paid for. That's basically, in a nutshell, why we can't recommend Protech. If it's the company that's causing these problems, Protech directly, then shame on them. And if it's their vendor here and Protech is not standing behind and making sure the customers get their machines timely, then that's also shame on them. You just can't take people's money and sit on it for 3 years and then not deliver machines and give updates. I don't think that it's just us. In fact, I've heard lots of reports of other people waiting. We watched people that ordered machines after us get their machines before us, and I can't really explain that either. That becomes a little bit odd. And so it was just all these things combined, and we just decided, this is it. We cannot recommend it. And you may see some videos where we still have Protech equipment. Understand that I hate to even have it in the video because I can't recommend the brand currently due to the ongoing legal issues that we have and the non-delivery of equipment. It's just not a company that I can stand behind and support right now. And that doesn't mean that the people that have this equipment aren't getting well taken care of. They've very well may be getting taken care of, and that their equipment's not valuable. It still serves a purpose, but I think right now, if you were to look at other equipment, I would say look look at Solo Track or look at the Bryce equipment, because those companies seem to be able to deliver machines in less than 3 years. In fact, we brought a piece of Bryce equipment in here, and it took us under 6 months from the time we ordered it to the time it was delivered to our customer to get it here. So I think that's a big difference. That's a big difference, and the build quality is solid. So that's in a nutshell one of the reasons that we really refrain from showing the Protech equipment. And we get a lot of people asking us questions in the comments. They're like, hey, what kind of equipment is that you've got? And that's why we're really kind of shy about talking about that. It's because it's not been a great experience. It's been a very terrible experience. And I think we can all realize that if you had shelled out in excess of $100,000 for a machine and still didn't have it 3 years later, you'd probably be just a little bit upset too. And in the meantime, we will be recommending anything and everything but Protech. Our recommendation from SWI right now is stay as far away from Protech as you possibly can. Not because the machines aren't any good, but because the support here in the US is not what it should be. And I don't know how much of that is making it back to England, but it's definitely creating a problem for those of us here in the US that are trying to get these machines and get the support that we need from the company. So that's a little bit about the elephant in the room we haven't talked about. I wish we could be sunshine and rainbows, but sometimes in business things go really bad. And I think this is one of those cases where we made a bad decision getting tied in with Protech and even recommending Protech. And I know that there's people that bought these machines based on a recommendation and they're still waiting. And that's unfortunate. I feel personally responsible for that because, you know, we kind of put our name with that. And that's why we're so particular now about what brands we represent on this channel and what brands we promote to our viewers, because we want to make sure that the companies that are providing equipment for you and your business, when you count on it, are going to stand behind it and make sure that you get the service you deserve. Those of you that know, and I'm not going to say any names, but Protech, if you happen to see this, you need to do better. This is not what your customers deserve. Your brand is being severely tarnished here in the US because of the way that things are being handled. So do better. There's so much more to this that I can't say. As it stands right now, I don't advise anybody to purchase brand new Protech equipment. If you can find some used stuff, I would recommend staying with the used stuff. Anything out there that's used and has been well cared for is still going to be a reliable equipment, but I can't recommend anybody buy or order any new equipment from Protech Machinery, England or USA. I think the service is the same, and it's primarily the USA side of this thing that's been the trouble for us. I wish we could recommend it, but we just can't. That's why we don't talk about them on the channel anymore. This is bad for your brand. Don't be the next one by ordering Protech equipment, because you may or may not ever get it, as we can evidence. I hate that this isn't upbeat and great, but sometimes in business, this stuff goes down, and I think it's important for you guys to know, and we want to take care of you, which is why, because we stood behind Protech and we said it was a good piece of equipment to buy, that's why we also have to say that at this point in time, we cannot recommend any Protech equipment to anybody. That's all we're going to say about it. We're done. But please, whatever you do, please, if you hear one thing out of me, do not order any Protech equipment. It is not going to be a good experience for you, and you don't want to end up like we did, waiting for years and not having your money or a piece of equipment to use. So heed our advice. So I'm Mark with SWI, and unless you're Protech or the vendor here in the US, we hope you have a good dang day. Those two people have really made our life miserable. Maybe they can just have a frowny day for one day. Take care.